Hi everyone and welcome back to UaDreams. Before we start, make sure you're subscribed to our channel. We have a lot of useful tips that will help you to be an expert in dating. Let's be completely honest for a second. First dates can be absolutely terrifying. We've all had that moment right before knocking on a door or walking into a cafe where our hands are sweating, our hearts are racing, and our brain is screaming. What if we run out of things to talk about? What if they're that horrible? Heavy silence where we just stare at our shoes. Oh my God. It's completely normal to feel that way. But today, we're throwing that anxiety out the window. I've put together 4 practical, story-tested tips that will keep your next first date smooth, natural, and completely free of those painful, cringy moments. So grab a drink, get comfortable, and let's talk about how to make your next first date a total breeze. Alright, tip number 1. We need to escape the interview trap. Picture this scenario, because I think we've all lived it. You sit down, you order your food, and suddenly it starts. So what do you do for a living? How long you have lived here? Do you have siblings? Feel less like a romantic connection and more like human resources. Screening for a job you didn't even apply for. When you ask standard, predictable questions, you get standard, predictable answers. And once those answers run out, here is the awkward silence. Instead, I want you to try a simple game changer, the phone gallery trick. I have a friend who used this on a date last week. They were sitting at the coffee shop and the conversation started to fall. Instead of panicking, he just smiled, took out his phone, opened his photo app, and said, "Okay, let's play a quick game. Show me the last photo in your camera roll that actually made you laugh out loud." It completely changed the energy of the room. She showed him a ridiculous picture of her dog trying to squeeze into a teeny cardboard box. They ended up laughing of the 15 minutes, which naturally led to talking about childhood pets, favorite memories, and the ice was completely shattered. The takeaway? Don't ask for facts. Ask for stories. Instead of asking, "What is your job?" you can ask, "What the craziest thing that happened at your office this week?" Stories kill awkwardness instantly. Now, tip number 2 is all about where you actually go. My biggest advice for a first date: ditch the formal, high-pressure dinner. Sitting directly across from a stranger at a quiet, candlelit table, amount of pressure on you to perform. You're staring right at each other, and if a pause happens, it feels massive. Instead, choose a date that has built-in action. Think about going for a walk through the vibrant street market, visiting an art gallery, checking out a quickie bookstore, or even playing a casual game of bowling or mini golf. Here's why this works beautifully. From a psychological standpoint, when your bodies are moving side by side, rather than sitting face to face, your brain relaxes. You aren't forcing conversation out of thin air. If a pause happens, it doesn't feel awkward at all because you're just looking at the painting or taking a sip of your drink or watching a street performer. The environment around you gives you a million free things to talk about without you having stress over it. Simple stuff. Tip number 3 is a secret weapon for keeping the conversation flowing like water. It's called the compliment and question combo. A lot of time, people get stuck because they pay a compliment, and the other person just says, thank you. And then the energy drops. For example, you say, wow, that's really unique necklace. They say, oh, thanks. And then silence. To fix this, whenever you notice something you like, always pair it with a curiosity-driven question. You could say, that's a really cool necklace. Is there a story behind it? Or did you just find it somewhere local? Or maybe something like, I love your energy. You seem so relaxed. Have you always been a calm person? Or did you have to practice yoga for 10 years to get like this? By doing this, you aren't just making feel them good. You're actively throwing them a ball that is incredibly easy to catch and throw back to you. It shows you're paying attention. It validates them. And it opens a brand new doorway for deep conversation. And finally, tip number 4. What happens if, despite all your best friends, a teeny, quiet, awkward moments does happen? First of all, don't panic. Silence is just a natural part of human speech. But if it starts to feel heavy, use your ultimate superpower, the honest reset. Instead of looking away or nervously checking your watch, just lean into it with a warm smile and say exactly what's happening. But keep it light. You can literally say, "Whew, sorry about that. I just realized I got a little bit nervous because I was really hoping we'd get along. And you're actually incredibly nice." It sounds bold, but admitting a teeny bit of vulnerability is actually an absolute magnet for connection. It takes all the pressure out of the air. The moment you admit you're a little nervous, the other person's shoulders instantly drop. They smile, they relax, and usually they'll say, "Oh, thank goodness. I'm so glad you say it. That's because I'm nervous too." Suddenly, you aren't two strangers trying to impress each other anymore. You're a team. At the end of the day, remember this one golden rule. The person sitting across from you wants the date to go well just as much as you do. They aren't sitting there judging your every word, whatever. They just hoping you like them too. So take a deep breath, be easy on yourself, and just focus on the fun of discovering who this new human being is. I want to hear from you guys now. What is your absolute go-to trick to keep a conversation interesting? Or what the funniest first date story you had? Let me know in the comments. I read every single one. If you found these tips helpful, make sure to smash that like button. Subscribe to the UaDreams channel so you never miss our weekly advice. And I'll see you in the very next video. Take care and happy dating!